A very good day to all of you out there. This is Admav here with another episode of Admav's Corner. I hope all of you are doing well on this July 8th, 2022. It's been a pretty long week. Pretty tiring week, actually. It's just been really busy at work. And also, not just physically exhausting, but also a little bit mentally and emotionally exhausting. Mostly because I've been thinking about this week's episode and what I'm going to talk about shortly here. And it's also the finale to the series. Now, whenever I say that, I'm like, am I confusing people? Is the podcast ending? No, it's not the ending of the podcast. It's not the podcast finale. It's just a series of the last, I think, 4 episodes now, or 3 episodes, that are specifically covering my relationships within my life, specifically romantic relationships and love. Love in, I guess, a general sense, but more specifically within a romantic setting and within a romantic relationship. So we previously covered my relationship with my ex, Gia, who already spoke about that in detail in the previous episode. So if you haven't watched that, you can go ahead and check that out on my channel, Admav's Corner. And I should really be uploading on other platforms as well, not just YouTube. I know there's a lot of other great platforms out there for podcasting, so I really have to look into that and make sure that I get on those spaces. Anyways, to continue from where I last left off, I was in the Philippines. That's where I spent time with Gia and eventually broke up with her and all that stuff. And as I previously said in the last episode, that was a hellish experience. And it took me, I don't know, like maybe 2 weeks, not to get over it, okay? I mean, getting over it is, that would end up being a long process, a lot of self-reflection, a lot of thinking. But no, that 2-week, 3-week span, mostly I'm referring to my ability to actually do other things other than just stay inside the room I was in with while I was staying at my cousin's place. Yeah, so that was a very painful experience, and I don't think I need to recap and take up much time here because the previous episode was damn near 2 hours, so if you really want to know about that, you should go watch that one. But yeah, and I extended my stay in the Philippines for probably an extra 2 weeks because I spent so much time doing nothing, just trying to recover from that initial blow of finding about Gia and having to break up with her after over a year of being together. That was very difficult. Thank God for my family back home, and thank God for my cousins. My cousins kind of, they were there with me the entire time, and they supported me, they talked to me, and they wanted to make sure that I was okay, and I'm always grateful to you guys. If you guys ever have a chance to listen to this podcast, everyone there, my tita and tito, all my cousins, Bay, Kay, Jet, Arlene, and all the beautiful people that I met while I was on there, who I became friends with. Thank you so much. You guys really helped me get through. And the funny thing is, one of the things that they were trying to do too was to try to get me, not back into dating, I guess, but sort of just trying to make me realize that things aren't, over, I guess, and that I would never date again or something like that. Something to that effect, Not exactly that, but yeah, specifically my cousins were encouraging me to try the dating apps back in the Philippines. I had never done that before. Obviously, initially, I didn't want to. I had no desire to. But, after that initial 2 weeks, I was like, I might as well do something while I'm cooped up in here. And I gave it a shot. And to my very pleasant surprise, the interest I garnered from the opposite sex in the Philippines greatly, and I mean greatly, trumps the interest I get while I'm home here in Canada. For whatever reason, I'm not sure. I have my own theories, but I'm not gonna, go into detail about that. But it's clear. I mean, the disparity is it's just crazy. Here I would maybe get, I don't know, like 20 likes in 2 months, or just over 2 months, let's say. I'm kind of on the apps right now, and that's what I'm getting, right? Which is actually an improvement over previous times I've given it a run on Bumble or Hinge or Tinder or whatever have you. In the Philippines, when I was there, I would get like 20 in like a day. I would get that much interest in a day there. You know what I mean? And it's such a jarring experience, because only having the Canadian experience, right, as my point of reference really skews how I feel about myself, or how I felt about myself, because I kind of was thinking that maybe I'm, extremely unattractive or extremely undesirable in some way, whether it be my personality or the way that I wrote things on my profile. And like I said, maybe I'm extremely unattractive the way I look, maybe because I'm not exactly in the best shape. But I found out that I'm kind of like just a normal dude, because in the Philippines, I garnered a ton of attention. I mean, especially in comparison to the attention that I got here from girls on apps like Bumble. So it's crazy. So I mean, I kind of started having fun with it, because I've never experienced that before, and the fact that I was single again after such a devastating breakup, I went around Bumble meeting people. And I've met a lot of cool people on Bumble. I actually made a few friends that I'm still friends with to this day, that I talk to in just a platonic way, Just I'm friends with them, good friends with them. I care about them. So that was a great experience. And before I left the Philippines to head back home to Canada, I did meet, a few people, and like I said, I made friends with a few of them as well. I continued this, actually, the Bumble thing. I continued it when I got back to Canada. I continued looking for people in the Philippines, women. So enter my the relationship that I would get into post Gia. My ex-girlfriend, Elle, who, again, I'm not using her real name, I'm just using an alias, because I'm talking about just my experience and what I felt and all that, and they don't need to be, made known. Elle was special. She really was. I actually, I had like the premium feature, and I super swiped it, and I never thought like those things would ever make a difference. But she noticed me because I super swiped her, and we began our conversation because she's like, "Oh wow, why did you give me a super swipe?" I don't know. There was just something about her. There was something about it. She was, on her profile, she said she was empathetic. I really connect with people like that. And she played video games. She played Dota. I love Dota 2. For those of you who don't know, I love Dota 2. I mean, these days I don't play it. I'm way too slow. I'm an old man now, and the meta keeps changing. It's hard to keep up. But back in the day, I was obsessed with Dota 2, and I mean, even still today, I still love it. I love watching TI. I love watching the International, and I'm really looking forward to TI 11. Anyways, I don't want to, get distracted talking about games. Yeah, she was just really into that stuff, and I was into it. She loved, music and cooking. I loved music. We hit it off, right? And I was really into her, but she wasn't quite sure what to make of me yet. And that's because at the time I didn't really know much about her history, but I really liked her, and I really wanted her to like me. We talked for months. We talked for months, and you know, I really was waiting for her to finally say like, "Hey, I like you. Maybe we can give this an earnest shot." So I was getting kind of not I guess I guess I was kind of frustrated, a little disappointed too, because I already had a liking for her. Like I really did like her, but she still wasn't sure at the time. So Elle would always say, "I'm not sure," and she even, and credit to her, and being transparent, she was even talking to another guy while she was talking to me, because she's just, you know I don't blame her. You don't need to commit during that phase. So, but I was a little bit, sad about that, and actually I almost ended up walking away from it. But I don't know, for some reason she was like, she cared about me. I cared about her a lot as well, and we just kept talking. And that was enough for me for a bit. But at some point, like just March of this year, actually, I I really I really wanted to know for sure that this was like the person that I was going to invest my heart, my soul, my time, my effort into. So I brought up the idea that, you know if she wasn't that, then maybe I should go, explore other options. Talk to other girls. She was kind of upset by that, and after all this time and effort that she said she put in, and she was upset that I wanted to do that, that I just wanted to walk away. And that's when I sprung the question. I asked her, "Will you be my girlfriend?" She was hesitant. She was nervous. Uh, but she did say yes eventually. She ended up saying yes, and that made me super happy, because I really liked. I mean, like I said, Elle was special. I really liked her, and I really kind of empathize with where she was at in life. See, the thing about Elle was that we were actually very much alike in some ways, in that we had trouble giving ourselves enough. And by that I mean, care, love, especially with her. She would always say that she wasn't sure, like she couldn't, the care and affection I gave her, she couldn't give to me, because she didn't even know if she had enough for herself. And when she first started saying that, I really had no idea about what that actually meant. I kept replying back, saying, "No, you're more than enough." But I was looking at the context of her being enough for me. I didn't really know what she was referring to at the time, and I would learn that the hard way later on. During our relationship as boyfriend and girlfriend, things were sweet. Or there were, I mean, some things were sweet, because every time we spent time together, we would go on video dates or calls. I loved it. I looked forward to it. I wanted it all the time. Elle had a really close group of friends that she hangs out with, that she drinks with, like via, online, like on Discord, that she plays games with. She plays a lot of Steam games with them, online games. And that's when the issues that, reared its ugly head during my time with Gia, my previous relationship, sort of reared their ugly heads here. Except previously with Gia, all the stuff that Gia was putting out there kind of overshadowed that issue that I had. And if you want to know, this issue is of jealousy. And if you haven't put two and two together yet, I had serious jealousy issues, like serious, and it became extremely apparent in this relationship with Elle, because she spent a lot of time with her friends, especially on the weekends, and I felt that she didn't spend enough time with me, and I got jealous of her friends, and it was just, at the time, I didn't really see it, but it was just not a good thing, and it was extremely unhealthy. But that's sort of the thing that I didn't get to really deal with or confront with my relationship with Gia, because we were dealing with, the issues that she had. But this time, most of that focus was on me, and so I really had to deal with that. I really had to face that head on this time. Elle and I would have like these periods where it would be good, and then it would go bad, and then we would be in a bad spot. But Elle would always say, I take relationships seriously. I'm not going to be the one to break up, etc., etc. And it was like up and down for like a month, because I would always be like, oh, I wish we would spend more time together, and you're always with your friends and stuff. I'm not proud of it. I mean, that's where I really learned that I didn't have this ability to let go when I was in a relationship. I didn't have this ability to just feel like things are fine because of this jealousy thing. And as I previously expressed before, and that I know now, it took a lot of things to get to know this now. The jealousy really stems from my own lack of self-confidence, my own lack of self-esteem, because when I think about that, when she hangs out with her friends and some of them are, of the opposite sex that she would be attracted to, I feel like, and because of my previous experiences, I feel like I felt like that she might end up liking somebody else and leave me behind. That's because I didn't believe in myself, because I thought that I wouldn't be good enough, that I wouldn't be worth staying for, I wouldn't be worth investing her emotions in, and all that stuff. And that really ate away at whatever relationship she and I had. And we were boyfriend and girlfriend, but I really wore that down, The erosion was intense, and it just kept getting thinner and thinner, and yeah, eventually one weekend it was really bad. I was up in my feelings, and I was really caught up, and I really made her feel badly about her hanging out with her friends, and that's just not true. There was never a reason why she should have felt badly, and I was just being selfish. I was giving in to the jealousy that I had, and I wasn't thinking right, and man, Elle was amazing at that. She was always so self-aware, which is always something I admired so greatly about her. She was self-aware, and she was very strong in many ways. And she is strong, like, period. But she, like I said, she was very self-aware, and she also was good at being frank and direct with saying things. And she let me know that you definitely like need to work on yourself because you know the, these are these are just my friends. Like there's no need to be jealous. And here I was being jealous over something stupid. But and I don't want to, fall back on the fact that I got cheated on by Gia in my previous relationship, and my jealousy then was founded in something. But I didn't want to do that because that's a totally different thing. Gia's a totally different person. It was a totally different situation and relationship. There was no need to compare, and I never did that. But I can't deny the fact that leftover issues from that were still lingering, and I would have never known that if I never gotten into this relationship with Elle. So that weekend was tough. I just previously mentioned that it was bad this one weekend, and she wasn't sure how to recover this time. I thought that she would always say that she would never break up, or that she took relationship seriously, and I think the fact that she took it seriously is what led to this moment. And the moment is that I brought up the idea of breakup because I wasn't sure if she could say it or that she couldn't think of it. Maybe a combination of both. But on that weekend, I said, I hear you, and I'm sorry about all of this. Do you maybe we should break up? Do you want to break up? And we mutually agreed to breaking up. And that was hard. At this new job that I'm at, I talked about it in previous episodes. I've only ever been absent once, and that was the day I broke up with Elle. Even though I initiated it, and even though we mutually agreed to part ways, it was hard for me, and I didn't want that. But I knew then that that was the right path, and that just our relationship, our romantic relationship as boyfriend and girlfriend, just it would end there. There's no tracks left for the train to go. That's the end of the line. It was the end of the line. And that was hard. It was difficult. I cried a lot. I mean, even in recent weeks, I've still dreamt about her a few times because I really developed a serious care for Elle, and I loved her. I did, by the end, I did love her, and it was hard to say goodbye, but I knew I had to. And if I really did care and love her, that was the best thing to do, because yeah, we were just in different times of our lives, right? Like I was still, like it or not, I was still sort of in recovery from my previous relationship where I got cheated on. Even though mostly I've gone over it and accepted it and owned that whole story, there's still feelings that I had to work through, but I would never figure that out if I didn't give myself a chance and I didn't put myself out there and got to know somebody and dated again. And meeting someone as genuine, as real, and as beautiful as Elle really helped me to see that, despite how badly it ended. And I know that we're probably not going to communicate anymore. But that's okay. I understand that those are just the consequences. I mean, we're still friends on all the social platforms. I'm still friends with her on Steam and on Discord, but it's just not, I don't expect to talk to her again. But it was hard because I knew it was me. Mostly me this time. I know she wouldn't want me to think that way, and she definitely she wouldn't allow me to take the blame completely, because that's just the type of person that Elle is. But I know it was mostly me. I mean, I was unreasonably envious of her friends, and I just wanted her all to myself, and I just wanted to spend all my time with her. And I failed to really pay attention to the fact that before I came into her life, she had this group of friends that she's been friends with for a long time before even meeting me. And I didn't respect that enough. And by proxy, I didn't respect her. And so I failed to realize that she was actually so giving and that she was actually doing so much to try to make me happy. I mean, the fact that she said yes to being my girlfriend, despite being so, she's very careful and very deliberate. As I would suggest everyone be when it comes to relationships. You have to really give it time to breathe and really give it time to grow. And I was impatient. I was impatient, inexperienced, and I just did not know how to let go. So ultimately, we both had to let go of each other. From time to time, I still really do miss her, and I still think about her. But I know in my heart that it was the right thing what we did, and I've come to accept that, and I moved on. I just, like with every relationship that I've been a part of, I just want her to be well. I really do. Especially knowing that she's been through struggles similar to not similar, but how difficult it was for her is kind of how difficult things were for me. And I'm not trying to compare struggles here. I'm just trying to make the point that I feel for her. And I want her to be well because I care about her. Past the romantic relationship, just as like a friend, as a person who I consider a friend, I still do, even though we don't talk anymore. I want her to be well, and I know she will be well because she's a strong person. Thank you, Elle, for everything. For everything. For all the things that you helped me realize, that you taught me, and for all the times we spent together. And I'll never forget you. That time we spent, all the good times, that's forever ours. No matter how much time passes, that moment in our lives, in our history, we collided and we were intertwined for some time, and it meant something. It was special, and nothing could ever take that away from us. And I'm glad we met. And I know that someday you will find the right person that you deserve. And I hope that they are deserving of you. There's not much else to say, really. I feel kind of like, I don't know, right now I feel kind of, I'm kind of sad, but I'm kind of not happy, but kind of tranquil, kind of zen. Just thinking about all these stories that I've shared with you in the last 3-4 weeks. I've really grown. I've been through a lot. I've learned a lot. And, this thing with Elle is probably the closest thing to a regret in my life, or something that I would consider a regret. But I still don't regret it. And if given the chance to rewind, I would try to do things better. But if given the chance to rewind for it to play all over again the way it did, I still would have let it happen, because I learned so much from that I never would have if I never got into it. Especially the biggest thing would be the ability to give myself love and give myself care as much as I do with the people I give it to. I didn't know how much I lacked that. I didn't know how much of it I was not giving to myself. I didn't see how much I disregarded myself. I didn't see how much I hated myself. She helped me realize all of that. And I'm nothing if grateful for all of that. And I would do it all again in a heartbeat. And that's, we just missed each other. The timing was off. We were in different points in our lives, and it just didn't work out. And a lot of times when it comes to relationships that don't work out, that's the case. I mean, not all of them, but and yeah, I, I hope you all enjoyed all those stories about my past relationships, and just, I guess what I would like you guys to really take away from this is that it's a journey, and it's an adventure, it's a journey, it's a lesson all wrapped in one, getting into romantic relationships, falling in love, falling out of love. It's all a part of it, it's all a part of it, and that is one aspect of life that a lot of us need to learn how to be a part of, need to learn how to navigate. And so I would say, and this is just a general thing, go out there. When don't I mean Take time for yourself when you need to. Know when you need to take time for yourself, right? But don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Fall in love, get rejected, get ghosted, get your heart broken, fall in love, fall out of love, feel the highest highs, feel the lowest lows. It's like life, right? Life is an ebb and flow, like we've talked about before. It's a mix of things. It's not always happy, it's not always sad. It's a mix of things, and that's just a part of it. So if you ever thought about going to a relationship, but you're scared of all of that, of being rejected, of being cheated on, you just have to go for it, and you have to experience it, because you'll never know until you get into one. You'll never know things about yourself, whether it's just for your own personal growth, or within a romantic relationship setting, or just within a relationship in general. There are things that you can learn and experience through that. And now I'm not saying that that's the only avenue to experience these things, because it's perfectly okay if you're aromantic, or you don't feel like you need to be in a relationship. Good for you, and you have to really listen to yourself and follow that if that is the case. So I'm not saying that the only path to all of this is through romantic relationships. But if you're one of the many people who desire a romantic relationship but are too scared of the potential consequences, or have just gone through bad stuff, I want you to know that it's normal and that you're not alone. I've experienced heartbreaks too, and I'm right there with you. You're not alone. None of us are alone. We're all in this together. Even though we're pursuing something for ourselves and our potential partner together, we're all in this together, this whole thing, because it's love and relationships, they're a part of life. So put yourself out there, and don't let these things change you for the worse. Allow them to transform and change you for the better, which I know you guys will. So thank you again for tuning in this week. I really appreciate you, and I've really enjoyed retelling these stories, even though it caused me a lot of self-reflection, and even feeling depressed at times, because having to relive and putting myself back in those times was hard. But I'm glad I was able to tell it, and I'm glad I'm able to own it. This is my life. These are my stories, and I'm not ashamed. I'm not embarrassed by any of it. It's how I got here. It's how I've now been able to love myself better, and be okay being in my shoes and in my skin. And I'm glad that I'm able to share it with you guys, and that you guys took the time to listen. And I hope you were at least entertained in some way. And for some of you, I hope you take something that you can maybe use as another point of view to apply on your own lives. So thank you once again. I hope you enjoy this weekend. Enjoy the summer, as the summers are fleeting, like some of my relationships. But despite the fleeting nature, summer's still beautiful. And so is love. And so are relationships. Thanks, guys. Take care always. I'm going to end this podcast with the final song I'm going to perform that I wrote shortly after Elle and I broke up. So this is in dedication to you, Elle. Thanks for everything.
I'm feeling for you all the way to my heart. In between us, I didn't want to have any space apart. Like a moth drawn to a burning candle. The flames were too much for us to handle. Cause I can't feel you and I miss you. I'm in the dark when I'm not with you. But I gotta learn to let go. Don't know if things will be okay, cause I've never felt this kind of way about anyone else but you. About anyone else but I'm getting it all the way to my head. In between us there was nothing left that needed to be said. On that night, my passion's like a restless ocean. I'm crashing into waves of emotion. Cause I can't feel you and I miss you. Feels like I'm drowning when I'm not with you. But I gotta learn to let go. Don't know if things will be okay, cause I've never felt this kind of way about anyone else but you. About anyone else but you. Now I can feel you and I badly miss you. Don't know how to be without you. No, you were the best and I fucked it up. You stuck by me and I kept pushing you till you finally had enough. It all broke, something neither of us wanted. I took everything she gave to me for granted. I'll always feel you when I miss you. I'm not the same because I met you, but I gotta learn to let go. I know that we will be okay, cause I never feel this kind of